So we're going to talk about the first episode
of each series
of the Blackadder, first episode, which is called
The Fortune Telling.
The Fortune Telling. Now, this is actually quite enjoyable experience.
Before we go right into the episode itself, we want to talk about the history of it because it's Blackadder. There's a lot of fans of it. Okay, the main thing to talk about is how they wanted to avoid being Fawlty Towers 2.0.
I find that a bit weird because when I think of the Middle Ages, I think of the Hotel Manager.
Well, the thing is, that's the very reason they went for the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
And made Blackadder.
Well, remember, a lot of temporal sitcoms was common, and they thought, well, would it be more interesting, more larger-in-life event shit?
Well, it nowadays, how there's like 4 or 5 family sitcoms that are the same, and then they were so concerned about being similar, they changed the whole sitcom
to the historical Middle Ages, for starters, which is, to be fair, is quite a neat idea. I mean, there's characters in there that was well there. So anyway, what's the episode of the Blackadder?
Well, it's basically the backdrop of how between Richard III and Henry VII, the whole series is in between their reigns.
Yes, and it was about a scenario where you got Sir Edmund, which then was in the part of it, which became later the Blackadder.
The Prince Edmund.
The Prince Edmund, who became later, because he accidentally killed the King Henry III. Is it King Richard III?
Richard III.
Yeah, which is
because he's about to steal his horse in the middle of the battlefield later on.
Which then he avoided escape by blaming for someone else, and then because of that, he then got I have identity. We got to call ourselves
the
Black Vegetable. No, and then and then Baldrick, which is this person, he's the smart one
in this series,
and it's like, wait, I have a better idea. Why not we call the Black Adder? Yes, and then you see him transform to more wearing black clothing than more to his character. It feels weirdly more like a alter ego.
If you think about this compared to Blackadder, you're probably used to or heard of. It's like Mr. Bean as Blackadder.
If anything, that's what it kind of is. I mean, I think they're trying to do is a goof, goof.
Originally, from the first pilot, it was going to be smart Blackadder from the original series, but they wanted to avoid Fawlty Towers. They went for Mr. Bean, like. Which
is funny because later on they did try to be more like. I guess they're trying to.
I'm guessing Fawlty Towers was over by then.
I think because they're thinking of Blackadder the second, they're more. They know how to do because there were certain periods they can get away with different variety and settings, even though it's very more strict on this location. Either way, Blackadder, the first one. Now the characters, I do admit though, is set in historical settings, its environment, it has
medieval England.
I think what were most memorable is the acting from certain characters, like Brian Blessed.
Honestly, the thing about Brian Blessed is
Brian Blessed, which is.
I'm curious, if you ever see a documentary based on Blackadder, like them reacting or remembering the old show, no one talks about Brian Blessed.
Brian freaking Blessed was in it! Like, you got Peter Cook in there, it's like...
Not even the fact that he was involved, just the fact...
Brian Blessed, like his performance, like... No, we were thinking about how rough the episode was.
No. It's just that they think of how different it was.
He looks like he was having fun. It's like the speed is like, you're right, yes!
If you want your sitcom to be remembered, you at least mention a Brian.
I mean, they probably did mention a bit of it, but they don't think of that.
No, they didn't.
I mean, they would mention Peter Cook, which is like a passed-on thing, but
his style of humour was similar to...
Which he doesn't look like he was enjoying his role when he was in it.
Because he was breaking script every 5 seconds.
Oh, yes, great. And one word from using the Shakespeare. Oh, what is great and the fame. Yes, great, you silly sod. Oh, I hate the script and win and no.
To be fair, I never saw Peter Cook before this, but he is good.
I mean, to be fair, he's a good actor. He's been made one of those. You probably know him from the sound of the character. You probably know him as Arthur, who was a guy who's excellent player, but he also made the jokes about the one-legged joke. And he is known for during the 60s and 70s.
What do you think? This is more of an overall series thing. What do you think of Baldrick in the first series?
Well, he's a lot more smarter, or more the man with the brains. I think the idea they're trying to go for is you got the goofy one, you got the brain one, and you got the gullible one. You've basically got the leader who's a bit of a comical, and you got
he's the real genius in this series.
I mean, later in the seasons, he does get more and more the roles are a bit switched a bit
with Ben Elton.
But essentially, the idea that he's a sidekick to Blackadder, and they do have this sort of like three duos technically. I mean, they do have mostly two, but it's really the later ones. But it's essentially three. You got the brains, you got the leader, and you got the.
Now the backdrop story for this is basically the Battle of Bosworth Field. That's where the main story happens.
So yeah, so I don't know what you think of the episode.
Considering I'm more fan of the other seasons, this was one of my favourites from the first season.
I mean, I like how grand it is. It's like the initial music. I mean, this is from Howard Goodwall. It's like, I mean, it's just me. It's just that kind of gravity.
Honestly, the opening scene is the best bit.
I mean,
that's not a bad thing. It's just the opening scene.
It just
really
feels grand and adventurous and larger than life, and it just seems like. I mean, even the performance. The
fact that executives hated this show and called it.
I don't know why. I don't think they hate. I think they're just maybe ashamed of how embarrassing it is. But
how rough it is, maybe.
But I don't know. I just find the executive just like, come on, there's a lot of effort to it. There is fun elements of it. But we were young. What does that mean? Look, man, I made Rourke. I'm not going to disown it. I don't make disown it. I mean, at least see the elements about it you enjoy. I mean, at least the idea what you got there is there. So I just
think the first episode, introduction to Blackadder.
It's really enjoyable. It is fun. I mean, at least the character and the setting. It's fun. The settings and all. Yeah.
You can tell it may be similar to the original, but it's still got a lot of good humour in it.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so what you can tell me about Blackadder II?
Okay, so we'll start with Blackadder II, which is set during the Elizabethan period.
Yes.
Very smart, sexy period of English history.
Yeah, the turtle neck, the plate neck era, where Shakespeare, you got the Elizabeth, you got...
Tell me you haven't wanted to wear a plate neck as well.
Well, generally it has a sort of temperament. You have the main character like Edmund from Prince
Lord Edmund this time.
Yes, it was also with the Elizabeth, which the idea you said before earlier on, that he's like, imagine if the Queen is like a 10-year-old or child.
Well, that's what they came for. That's Queen Elizabeth II. There's imagining a 5-year-old being the Queen of England, yeah.
Not the second, the first, you mean?
Yeah.
No, you're fact, mate. Anyway, so the Queen Elizabeth, it was sort of like a childlike one. You have an assistant who's played by, the John, what's his name again, the actor, the person? Obviously, you have Stephen Fry, who's the advisor. Who's very well known. He's also the guy who wrote the Signature 007. You also the eye patch. And you also have the nanny, which is the nursey, and we've got to talk about the characters for the moment, obviously. And it's generally, and also we have another sister, also Blackadder himself, who this time from the first one, he's
as we said before, he is Lord Edmund, a lot more intelligence,
more sophisticated. I mean, this is the more established character that they were going for, even the original pilot of the first Blackadder.
So this is the Edmund that everyone's familiar with. Anyone who has watched the series probably thinks of this Edmund most of all.
And it's probably because it got took over by Ed Bye, which Ed Byrne.
Was that Ed Byrne?
Well, Ed Bye, because either way, he's taking a different writer.
I mean the comedian Ed Byrne.
Yeah, I think he's the same writer of Bottom. Is that right? Or the same creator?
No, from the Young Ones.
Yeah, same one, I think.
Yeah, it's Ben Elton I'm thinking of.
Yeah. Either way, he's a guy who's sort of the writer. And the writing itself is more focused, more clear. So, what can you tell me about the setting?
The setting? Very smart, very... Not too serious. You can sort of play around with
it's the Renaissance era. It's more like...
Actually, out of all periods in history, it's probably the easiest one to make fun of.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, because it's one of the times where things are a lot more flamboyantly weird.
Yeah.
I mean, you have like everyone's wearing. It's a time where people are starting to the revival of the Renaissance. It's where things start to pick up. It's the New Enlightenment. Mind you, there's a lot more interesting characters in, say, in Italy, but in Britain, it's sort of you got like impersonation around Europe, and well, generally it has a little appeal.
Why don't you tell me a bit more about what your favourite character is?
Well, obviously my favourite character is Blackadder, which is this one is a refining point of his character, like smart, sophisticated.
Elizabethan fits the period.
Yes, and also very more traditional what we think of Blackadder today. He's a lot more wise and a lot more knowledgeable and sophisticated.
Also has a very good goatee.
Than the previous character he was.
Mr. Bean.
Which is essentially Mr. Bean, but with the words. But nonetheless, he has his own performance. And Broderick...
Who has now been flipped around to be
gullible.
Mentally challenged.
Well, it is more simplistic,
Yeah.
obviously, and but still, there is a charm to his character despite those differences.
A man who can't do simple sums. The thing about Baldric that fascinates me is that it's amazing how many jokes you can get with just a character being stupid in Elizabethan times.
Yeah, I mean, he's just classic case of the village, kind of basically the village pompous a little bit, like not exactly the sprightest, but very likeable nonetheless. He's sort of very simple.
My favourite joke around him is when he says, well, when he's outside sleeping in the streets, someone says, "You should probably sleep in the gutter, sir, because if you do that, you'll be flushed into the Thames with all the other turds."
Yes, but generally there are like abilities to these characters nonetheless. You still have the very the other side system, very gullible.
Percy.
Yes, Percy is like how the trendy guy. He goes to the episode where he has the neck thing. And
as my new ruff.
Yes.
My new ruff.
Yes, and then Baldric would just say it looked like a swan that swallowed a plate.
Blackadder says.
Yes, Blackadder, who said, "You look like a
bird who swallowed a plate."
Bird swallowed a plate.
Also, let's not forget the time when Percy invented green.
Yeah. Yes. Behold, I invented green. That's not the gold. It's not.
He invented gold.
In general, the characters has the elements of the charm. Baldric is more simple-minded. Percy is more gullible and whimsical, kind of reverse. But Blackadder is a lot more sophisticated and more.
What's with the show though is that if you're not used to wordy humour and slow-paced humour, then it's not going to be for you. If you if you like slapstick, it's more
dialogue based this time. It's more
with the words and what
and
they
it's
say.
not as the setting as grand as the first Blackadder series, but
it
it is more focused on the dialogue as well as the wit. And what episodes that you remember the most from it?
Our favourite episodes would have to be the wedding episode, Bells.
Yeah.
Just because of Rick Mail.
Yeah, you
just
like
that last 10 minutes.
Yeah. It's like.
Oh God, that last 10 minutes.
It's like aha! Like such such passion to
Rick
it.
Mail, I love you.
Yeah, and the one I like is the episode called, I think it's called Beer, is it?
Yes.
Where about when the Puritans come over
and they're hosting a beer drinking competition.
But it's like the Blackadder's got like two people, one's going to host for the Puritans and the non-Puritans, so it's like a combination. I like it more when it's taking the mick of these characters of the Puritans, because at the time it was like the everyone is like, you're not allowed to do that because it's sin, and you should eat raw veg.
As nature intended.
Yeah, and there are also characters that into it that are quite surprising. I like Stephen Fry in it, and I like the Elizabeth character, and I also like one episode cameo of Tom Baker
in the
as
episode
a sailor. Potato.
Because they're sailing. But the funniest thing about it is they're trying to find something more impressive. Think of this: you're trying to find something more impressive than a potato.
Yeah, but the point is, in general, the Blackadder 2 has a more focus on the dialogue and more on the Renaissance. There's less to do, but there's a lot more situations to think of.
So again, if you prefer slapstick humour or a bit of a grander setting, then you probably won't like this.
But if you like dialogue and wit and has more intelligence, then this is a very good compelling. It's very fun and compelling. Blackadder 2 is established what people think of the Blackadder. He's more sophisticated, and people around him are more mental and more mad. But then the point is that he's sort of like a straight, smart guy surrounded by mad, crazy people. But it is very well.
Oh, and I like Melchett as well.
So, if that's okay for Blackadder 2?
Yeah.
Move on
to Blackadder the Third.
The Third, who is now a butler.
A butler in the I have to call it the Regency period.
Which is during the Georgian period, during the French Revolution, the American Revolution, the Duke of Wellington. But this is right after the American Revolution, because this is the time when the Duke of Wellington was fighting Napoleon, which was after. And then also you see Blackadder this time works as a butler to the Prince of Wales, which is very gullible, played by Hugh Laurie. Which is Hugh Laurie's most quirky British yet in the time period.
And he's had a lot of quirky British roles.
Yes, very quirky. I mean, this is like the quirkiest of all quirkiest of Hugh Laurie in this.
The best thing to say about him is he always has this film on him.
But he's a very gullible, likable too. It's very you can understand he's very simple, a lot more, but more quirky and chipper, but still gullible, but you're still likable. It's kind of like whoa. Anyway. the setting goes it's in the palace, and then it's just basically Blackadder trying to find ways to get a quick buck, as well as getting up the top a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's clever schemes. It's similar to the second season, only what focus is this time does?
I would say, really, it's actually similar to the second and third, but the focus this time is more political.
Yeah, because they track along like Prince the Elder, I think his name is, which is
the election of Pitt the Young, the youngest prime minister.
Well, they make jokes of that. There's an episode I'll do like later on, I'll tell you. And he also made the guy who created the dictionary, which is the Samuel.
Also the one that makes fun of acting, so...
Yeah. Yes, it's more time when they make more of the jokes of just the classical actors were very silly and goofy and just a bit stupid. But then again, this is like how pretentious a lot of times.
But there's a lot of love for it. You can tell whenever they overact it.
No, characters then. Generally, we did talk about the characters briefly now, but what you think?
What do you know what the difference is to Edward in this story?
Well, I'd say he's more
he's
cunning. More so,
it's hard to say because he is extremely similar to the second one, but you can tell he's a bit more manipulative, a bit more conniving,
but weirdly enough, I don't think it's that bad. I think he's just more like he's surrounded by gullible people. Mm-hmm. He just knows how to say just persuade the public in a very different way. No, he's a very good persuader. Mm-hmm. I mean, because he's surrounded by, for example, let's narrate in the episode of the dictionary, and he insulted the thing, but then he had this cheating way of how to get the deal for millions. So he basically tells him, get it done, and then tell us to the prince, okay. It's a very joke. It was just a total joke. The point is, he's a very good talker. He's, it's obviously he's a lot more the middle class now. He's more like the butler. So it's obviously why he's trying to write words schemes to get up the top a bit. Mm-hmm. So, but the thing is, I like his wisdom. He's just some reason just more likable for me. Just sort of, it's just that sense of he's surrounded by people that are powerful but also mad.
Who doesn't relate to that situation?
And because he's the butler entrusted to the prince, he can easily get whatever he wants from the prince because he's that gullible. Mm-hmm. But it's nothing too malicious. It's just sort of ways to get him up the favours without actually asking favours. It's just like opportunities, to be honest. In general, the characters themselves are very similar, but it's more focused between Blackadder, Baldric, and the Prince of Wales, which is a very good. Quite duo.
And Baldric in this incarnation, he's not different.
No, some people say he's a lot more simpler. To probably get more stupid than simple, but I think in a sense it's the same character.
This one probably focuses more on how he's a disgusting creature.
We can't tell you the point he's just sort of a simpleton. He's very similar to the last Blackadder 2, just as different. Well, basically the same character. Basically, he talks about turnip. He likes about turnips and. He wrote a poem. Anyway, so any favourite episodes you like? Like I said?
Where to start? Well, I like the duel episode with Duke of Wellington just because
Fry has no punch.
Actually, no, Fry and Laurie, they know how to punch each other.
Obviously because they did a sketch show, a bit of Hugh and Laurie, a bit of Fry and Laurie, and obviously they work well with each other. Just seeing them talking, interacting with each other, it's like a gold. It's like, I like the scene when he's punching him, it's like, I barely touched a man! And it's like, what, you mean hit like this? And then it's just a very fun episode, because it's the episode where Blackadder disguised himself as the Prince of Wales to get influence to, because he knows how to talk to people.
There's also of course, the episode where they make the dictionary after...
It was just a polite way of pronouncing to the dictionary guy who wrote all this, these very overly linguistic words, like, I don't... And yet he just sort of make up words in line.
Or later on when he burns it and desperately tries to write it again overnight.
After 10 years, it took 10 years. And the other episode I like is two episodes I like, is the acting one and the political one. The acting one, we were a group of two actors trying to teach Prince how to get a girl. Or
how to deliver a speech.
Yes. And they're very overly flamboyant and very pretentious. Obviously, that's the point. It's to make fun of the day of the Actors' Day. And then every time
he gets rid of them by pretending they're French revolutionaries.
Or terrorists, yes. But also by saying that, let's annoy them to saying the word Macbeth. I'll put on in the head. Because at the time, obviously, because he's an actor, the word Macbeth is very cursed.
I don't do that every time. I can't do that.
Oh, really? Really? I don't know what your acting skills are like, but I'm pretty sure you have some sense of method of ritual. But point is, it's a very fun episode of just him Blackadder making them mick on actors, and just how pretentious they are.
We are.
Well, It can be. And then you got the political episode, which is just essentially a kind of like a modern little bit elements of politics, but also because it's just taking the mick of politics.
It's like a satire in an election.
But it's a very fun one as well. There's even like a later on where they did like a man interviewing in front of a camera, like in the 1700s.
A fake camera.
Yes, like the presenter with this, tell a politician how you doing this, and then what's his name? Baldrick. What's his last name? Sodoff. It's just like, yeah, it's very typically like you see in the BBC Parliament, which is the most exciting channel ever. People talking in a room and arguing.
Sam, that's the future
for almost 2 hours. Like a football match, yeah.
Sam, don't talk about things you can't even pretend to be interested in.
You know what I mean? It's a very fun episode. It takes the mick in the bit, and it's also a good understanding of a very fun way how the things work at the time. Even if it is just about a laugh or without too serious. It's just sort of a very, don't worry.
I will say, out of the four, this is actually my favourite season.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those ones I remember the most from it. It's probably the most wittiest.
It's actually most underrated. I know the first one's not well known, but the third one's the most underrated.
Yeah, I remember it more for the humour, the wit, and generally more the cleverness. How clever it is, how smart, how persuasive. It's one of those where I miss intelligence. And this is why I came with shows and wit.
Yeah, miss intelligence in shows.
Yeah. So, anything you want to say about Blackadder Season 3 and the wrap up?
Probably the best of the 4 seasons, of course, and we'll get to why the 4th one doesn't fall short for us.
Well, all the stuff we wanted to write about, which was the sort of the clash of the classes and getting stuck and everything in a small confined space, were funny, but it had to be very harsh at the end.
Why?
We felt it was okay on the condition that we ended the series the way we ended it.
Why?
Being extremely respectful and aware of the unimaginable human tragedy that the First World War was.
Why?
Both my grandfathers served in it.
Okay, I love you. Bye-bye.
Blackadder goes forth, which is the finale of the series of the Blackadder series, you know.
And Blackadder Goes Forth it was my second favourite season originally when I first saw it.
Yeah.
Until I saw the 3rd, and then the 1st.
And then the 4th, and yeah. I mean, quickly tell me about the whole thing, because you said before me about you had the consistency of the tone for it.
Well, the tone basically is, well, if you watch a documentary called Blackadder, the whole run saga, they cover how when they came up with the 4th season, they were going to do everything like make fun of it, the clash of the classes, all the cliches of World War One.
Yes.
But on the condition that they had to have a highly emotional ending.
Dramatic ending about emotional
because it was paying respect to World War One veterans.
And what do you think of that?
Compromise is the word.
Okay, well let's before we get to that question, we'll get on to what we generally think about the episode. Okay, so what do you think of the characters?
Blackadder Good is a very self-aware straight man, as he always is. Making fun is the important thing to remember here.
Yeah.
Making fun of the period and all the problems.
Yes,
with
I mean obviously he was generally the deadpan person. He's the guy who's stuck in this situation. This time he plays as an officer stuck in a situation you don't want to be in, and find a way to get out of the situation. You know,
any way you can, like trying to become a chef, shooting down a carrier pigeon, trying to join an acting career for some reason.
Yes, and you have Baldrick, who's still basically Baldrick, which is slightly a bit more dirtier than looking, but then he's
although in this one, there's a real obsession that he's representing common man because he's a Tommy.
Yeah, whatever that can seem, but I don't know. He seems to be well, and I also like the other assistant, which is again George, played by Chico Boy, with the quirkiest of all quirkies of his tape here. And the characters I do like is got Darling, which is what's his name in Darling?
Captain Darling.
Captain Darling, which is the antagonist. You can argue the antagonist of the storyline.
Closest is it?
And you got Stephen Fry as a general, which is just talking to me like, "Don't be revolting, darling. I wouldn't look at you if you were covered in jet, honey." You know, it was basically.
What does Stephen Fry do with that accent? Is that an accent or is that just him acting? Like
basically, he was making the make of the Germans and saying that the filthy Germans and you wouldn't lick them if they were covered in honey. Do you have any episode you like?
Favourite episode would have to be the episode where they become pilots.
Pilots, you say?
Lord Flashheart appears yet again.
Lord Flashheart, I should say, yes.
Played by Rick Mail.
Yes,
of course.
Rick Mail, yes. He does look very smart in this film, doesn't it? He does too.
It's good. It's good when we go from reviewing something like Bottom, when he's meant to be very silly and downbeat, to in this show appearing once in a while as a suave, charismatic,
and generally all action man, basically the kind of adventurous type person you would be with him. You know.
The extra bonus of this episode is the person who plays the Red Baron.
Oh, I wonder who's this person being? The Red Baron. Oh, wonder.
I don't know.
Is it by chance some guy named Ed?
I don't know. He's very familiar.
I don't know. He looks very similar. Let me just somehow edit it like some fade to remind me of something. Yeah, I sure have no idea who this guy is. But yeah, there are elements about it that does seem very appealing, to be honest. I mean, also it's a way too, it's very funny to see that kind of thing done. Mine is kind of a bit the pigeon one, because it shows off generally the situation. It also shows that, again, the whole dramatic series of not shooting pigeons all the way to death. Which is ironically because you're basically sent in an environment where you're about to get shots in, which is again ironically you get executed by shots, and so
basically you're saying it's really funny, absurd to see in this big tragic war people are fighting over a pigeon.
Yes, and the gunmen, the execution gunmen, are very jolly, friendly. You know,
these are the friendliest executioners I've ever seen. Almost makes you want to feel shot, but not quite.
Yes. I like some of that. And to be honest with you, when it's actually funny and then trying to make fun of it, it's actually smart and clever. You know enough what's going on.
That's the reason there's a bitter pill this season, because if you watch a majority of the episodes, it's funny.
Which, again, leads on to our ending, the finale of the episode.
The main problem we have with this season.
Now, the problem is we were very cautious about talking because this is joined based on World War I, and we were worried that our statements would be questionable a lot of times. We're concerned that what we say will not be true, and we will end up saying, the war's not bad. Of course it is.
But at the end of the day,
casualties.
Well, let's just say, to fuck with it, let's just talk about what's wrong.
Well, let's just say, and I'll try to be clear about it as possible. Okay, here's the thing. I find this ending for me seems a bit of a tone shift from the Earth series. Like they want to be more dramatic, more like a traditional BAFTA winner, if you will, and War I. And I'm just concerned that the biggest concern about it, this is the most common thing to do in War I. You do this in nearly every scenario in film, TV, radio, and all sorts on War I. Why is War I gets a free pass to everything, to these situations?
Well, because it was such a tragic time, of course. No,
it's because it's a very recent memory. Because I bet you, if they did the same thing in, say, Blackadder Seconds, and we made fun of the Queen Elizabeth, and they did the same like a child, and they did the same with Queen Elizabeth II, I think they'll take it inappropriate. They'll say, you should not do that.
I mean, they're willing to make Queen Elizabeth I look like a 5-year-old child. They're willing to make fun of the medieval war. They're
like it's a fun game thing, which they will like that term because it's common. Because remember, war was that common in that time period.
Yeah.
So obviously, they have kings and queens get killed off at any time, any moments. So you think, okay, that seems more like a tragic part of history, and yet they went gunvit. Like Brian Blessed on that one, for crying out loud. Brian Blessed, and yet for some reason, this is the period like no. We must be straight and serious.
We will make fun of the period throughout the season, but it will have to end in that BAFTA.
And the concern to me about this is, why do you need to make this straight about this? Why this period? And yet, because they simply have relatives and connection to it. It's because it's a recent memory.
It also boils on, this is the thing what Blackadder, I thought it was. Wasn't the whole point of Blackadder making fun of history? Well, we did that throughout the whole season. But then,
why War I? Why you have to be this straight tone to it? What's the purpose?
What's the thing? The problem with me is it's funny throughout the season, but the very end is when they suddenly decide.
We want to be dramatic about it. We want it to be straight. But you're good at making fun of this. You point out already. Like I know enough of these sort of history that yes, how crazy it is. It is. That's the point. You make fun of how bad it is. Yet when it comes to this, like no nonsense. Oh my gosh, it just makes such coward. I get it. War I is a very bad environment. Casualties, it's tremendously expensive. It's tremendously casualties and fatalities. A lot of people, and it affects a lot of nations and all. It also alters a lot of nations' changes at the time period as well. I'm just thinking, like, if you can't make fun of that, why are you set up in World War I in the first place, lads? Richard, I understand that you want to make a serious story, a respectful story. But my gosh, man, if you gotta set War I and make a sitcom on War I, freaking make fun of it. All the way. Look, here's philosophy, right? Is saying, like, if you're gonna make philosophy something, if you're gonna make fun of it, go for it. Like we're saying, like
my philosophy is, and it's a very different kind of comedy to this. Obviously, it's animated.
Yes.
But South Park. In this season, the writers kind of have this philosophy of if they're going to make fun of something, they're going to do it, and to hell with the reaction.
Yes.
Sometimes they get caught, and sometimes they may alter around.
Even if they may think it's inappropriate, maybe dare I say a bit sick and all. Look, if you're gonna make fun of it, make fun of it. People are smart enough to know how bad it is. You don't need to tell them.
Let's face it. For all my complaining in this season, there are intelligent people behind the season. They know how to get around problems if they had to.
Yes, and yet for something to go straight, no, we can't be. It's a no-no. It's too much. It's too real. I hate. Look, okay. We've said it before, right? The ending, they have to end in a very harsh way.
There's a better
Why?
There's a better way to end it. Well, imagine this. They make a joke in the actual documentary saying, oh, how funny it was that, oh yeah, they said the war was over when it was actually a year before it really ended. Why not make the actual joke that as they're about to go over the top, the war's over?
Yeah.
It ends just as they're about to climb.
Well, that'd be anticlimactic. That's the point, right?
It's a joke. The whole episode, the building anxiety to, oh, it's over. But in all, we do technically like the ending. You know, the music, the piano.
Music, the piano music reminds me of.
It is good.
Yes, it is quite compelling.
And it works mostly because it's the end of the TV season in general.
And it's a finale of the franchise. Yes.
It worked that, but the problem was that wasn't supposed to be the real ending.
Wasn't it not supposed to be?
They had ideas for other seasons.
Yeah.
It's just things got in the way.
And we understand that World War One is a period that is very concerning and it is a bad scenario event. I understand that. However, if you're going to make fun of it, again, like I said before, you're going to make fun of it. Otherwise,
go all the way. Don't pull out last minute.
Just please don't go the whole. We're going to be serious about it. No. If you make a joke about it, if there's a clown in the battlefield, put the clown in the battlefield. Okay?
That doesn't make any sense.
Exactly, it doesn't make sense. The point is, if you're going to make something humorous, or if you're going to make. Look, you're smart enough already to know this. I know enough, there's a scene in the episode where these trying to escape the event is enough to know that it's a bad situation. You don't need to go full detail about how bad and how... Point is, in general, I'm trying to say simply, is that the experience that they're trying the ending seems like we want to end it in a very dramatic way. But for me, they do this in every time it comes to World War One. World War One is this crush of drama. It is essentially a tragedy every time. And when Saga did it, especially when they did this before the other history players, that it's just bad, and yet they did the same dramatic moment.
So, at the end of the day, what would you say about this season?
Honestly, it is a finale to the series. Okay, to wrap up what I would say, it is a finale to the series, and there are elements about it that is good. I would say, in a nutshell, it has a very bittersweet experience.
Because that's the thing, it has everything that makes it feel like Blackadder. It's just compromise would be the word I have.
Yes.
They compromised in the end to make it fit people's standards.
And anything you want to say about this whole, to wrap this in a nutshell about this?
It's still one of my... Don't get me wrong, it's still one of my favourite comedy shows.
I do like the elements when they try to be dramatic. I just think it's effective when you speak subtle, or at least generally characters just reacting in the environment, not just going, full on.
The thing is, I don't watch it for the ending, I just watch it for the most of the other episodes.
Yes, obviously, yeah. And there are elements about that, and they did make back and forth later on, so it just seems like,
At the end of the day, I bring it up to this moral. Being funny is more important than being tragic, and every great tragedy can create a great comedy.
Yes, absolutely. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to apply. If you have information, do so.
If you disagree with our opinion, please comment in the comment section below.
As much as you like. Anything you want to say, Anyway, thank you for watching. You take care.